is broken down by province. We're going to start with Manitoba. We're going to work our way west. So we're going to do our Manitoba companies first, then we're going to have Saskatchewan, Alberta, and finally BC. In between those, we do have a couple of great panels. We have one on Cleantech progress, where we have Ian Philp from the consulate in New York, Jessica Verhagen from Hydra, as well as Alicia Lennis from Chrysalix. We will also have a second panel. You can see right there at the end of the Alberta session on the commercialization journey. So we'll have some Foresight companies there, Open Ocean Robotics, Dana, as well as Optisize, talking a little bit about their experiences and what they're up to now. Without further ado, and before you have any questions, I do want to mention we will be using the latest Zoom breakout room functions. This means as we go through the presentations, you will be asked to select the breakout room that you would like to go to. If you haven't updated your Zoom in the last 3 to 6 months and it doesn't auto-update, now would be a great time to jump offline, update that Zoom so you can get the most out of the presentations as we go through. Astrid is just going to drop a little link there in the chat for those who want to take advantage of that. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Jeanette Jackson, our CEO, for a few minutes for her to talk about Foresight. Now, if you know about Foresight already, we've always got lots of initiatives ongoing, so you'll definitely learn something new. And if you're not familiar with Foresight, get ready. There's a lot for her to talk about.
Oh boy, no pressure. Hi everyone, welcome to our largest demo day ever. My name is Jeanette Jackson. I'm the CEO of Foresight. It is a beautiful sunny morning here in British Columbia, and I hear the weather is quite nice across the country, which is fantastic. Our mandate at Foresight is really to position Canada as a global leader in clean tech innovation. 50% of the innovation required to meet climate targets has not yet been developed. And so the opportunity for us to come together and convene and collaborate to look at the challenges, work together to identify the best solutions, both from a business and environmental perspective, is really front and center on everything that we do. We have representation from across Western Canada today. I want to thank all of our great partners. I see Joelle from North Forge on my screen there, and I see also Joelle's got some big announcements with some new boards this morning. So I try to get my morning news in on everything that's happening clean tech, and I'm sure there's lots of other updates with other speakers and presenters today. Really, I just wanted to jump in this morning and give a special thanks to my colleague, Stephen Wilson, our VP of Acceleration. Stephen has worked tirelessly over the last year to connect with as many innovators and ventures as possible so that we can give them the tools and resources that they need to succeed. And while of course Stephen is supported by a fabulous team, he really deserves a hand of applause for all the great effort and passion he's put into supporting the clean tech community. A few quick updates. There's lots happening this week. We've got demo day. We've also got the Globe Capital Conference. We'll be having a session after this on co-opetition across Canada. Tomorrow there's a great Scaling Clean Tech initiative and lots of other announcements underway. But from here on, Stephen, I'm going to pass it back to you. Have a great session, everyone. Welcome to all the ventures, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the investors, the industry partners. Let's give all the ventures that have gone through this last cohort a real good look and see how we can continue to support their scale up journey. Thank you so much and have a great session. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. And I will talk a little bit about what Foresight does. So we do have a number of programs. All of the companies you'll be seeing here today have gone through our launch and deliver programs, which are kind of geared towards TRL 4 to 7 or companies with an MVP, validating their technologies. We do have a Kickstart program for those who are in ideation stage, as well as a growth program for those companies who are scaling up as we try to support the clean tech ecosystem. How do we look at the clean tech ecosystem? We really look at it in 5 buckets of activity. We want to pull everyone together and break down those silos to elevate the ecosystem as a whole. We look at supporting innovators, obviously through our programming, which is what we're focusing on today. but as well bringing in links to industry, helping them with their open innovation through our challenges. We look to communicate with investors and make sure that they're part of the conversation as early as possible, with academia to make sure that they're aware of the challenges that industry is facing. And finally, with our government partners, there's wonderful support here in Canada from our government partners, and we want to keep them involved in the challenges that the industry is facing. I think Jeanette already said thank you to our supporters. I want to do it again because it's so important for us. Obviously, NRC IRAP and the support they give for our Deliver program, Innovate BC, Innovation Saskatchewan, Western Economic Development Canada for their support of our launch programming, and Fastings and EDC as special supporters as well. I also want to take a moment for our partners. I think Jeanette sort of mentioned Joelle already from North Forge. I think Carrie Harvey I saw on the line as well from Innovation Saskatchewan. David Chavez down there from Platform Calgary. I don't see anybody on the line from Tech Edmonton, and we'll be joined by our friends at Startup TNT a little bit later. But really, it takes a village to raise a startup. And we're so lucky that we get to work with wonderful partners who are aligned with us in supporting Cleantech, helping us reach across the country to bring in the innovators, helping us network with industry, and helping us with their knowledge of solving challenges and their networks as well. So we couldn't do this without the collaboration and support of our partners, and we really value you, and thank you so much for all your help today. I also have to stop and say, you know, if there's real value in what Foresight brings, so much of it is thanks to our executives and residents. If I am anything, it is a conduit for their experience, for their insight, for the decades of wisdom that they bring to our ventures. And while I can't name each of them individually, I do want to point out that they are a wonderful asset to our ventures. We had the most ventures, and so we have the largest number of EIRs working with this cohort that we ever have. But you can imagine the links and the networks, the knowledge and the experience that these people have brought. So thank you so much to all of our executives and residents for participating and continuing to support Foresight, and moreover, the ventures. And just like Jeanette, if we put in a little bit of effort, I know all of the ventures today put in countless hours of effort over the last 12 weeks. While they do spend time with us, it's really their inspiration and their perspiration that are driving the Cleantech ecosystem forward. So I have to stop and say thank you all for your dedication and for your hard work and for making this all possible. What are we going to do today? How's the format going to go? Let me stop and explain it to you. Each of the companies is going to make a 1-minute presentation to the whole group. After that 1-minute presentation, all the participants will be allowed to select, as I mentioned with the Zoom feature, which breakout room they would like to go to. The breakout rooms will be named by the company. You'll get to hear more of them. It'll be a 15-minute breakout room. In that breakout room, each venture will go through another kind of 2 to 3 minute presentation, let you know a little bit more of their company so you can dig in with some good questions, understand what it is they're doing, see how it is you can support them on their apps. I would like to say it will be really helpful if you do have the latest version of Zoom. If you don't, Tony and Amanda and Astrid will be staying in the main room to help you get to the breakout room you would like. And other than that, each of our sessions, we're really happy, will be hosted by one of our partner organizations. And so the Manitoba session, unsurprisingly, is hosted by Joelle from North Forge. And Joelle, I'll give you a few minutes to talk a little bit about yourself and the Manitoba ecosystem and the efforts you're undertaking there to grow the impact that Cleantech has.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen. All right. Good morning from wintry Winnipeg. We are getting a lot of snow here right now, so it's actually kind of nice to be snug here on this panel. So those of you who don't know who we are, North Forge Technology Exchange is a hybrid incubator accelerator, only one of 5 in Canada right now, and the innovation partner for the province of Manitoba. So what we do is we're fueling Manitoba's innovation economy, providing founders with industry experience, mentors, entrepreneurs and residents, growth coaches, all through our 4-stage online founders program, which we rolled out in June 2020. This program is taking founders from validation to acceleration and becoming a Series A company. And we're actively working with 85 founders right now. So that's since June. So we're not even a year in. So we've noticed a massive increase in the tech companies and advanced manufacturing founders right now. Our strategic focus and programming has been designed and developed to meet the evolving needs of any tech-enabled companies and advanced manufacturing startups. We are armed with the largest publicly accessible fabrication lab in North America. It's open 24/7, 365 days a year. We did not close during COVID. Actually, we were busier than ever. And we are ensuring that we're reaching all Manitobans by having locations in Pinawa and the Plot, with more to come. And I shouldn't just say Manitobans, because we are actually working with companies in Alberta right now, Ontario, and down east. So even though we are a Manitoba incubator accelerator, because of online and digital presence, we can actually help anybody anywhere. I'd like to share one of our new initiatives. And we have created a North Forge Angel Network in collaboration with NACO, who provides education to our founders to get better access to capital. So the network was launched last month, and we plan to launch hundreds of new innovative companies over the next 5 years, companies that are going to make an impact in North America and beyond. And we want to extend the pipeline of great deal flow, create new pools of capital, and build a new cohort of investors that look like the future, not the past. So we certainly are striving for equity and diversity. The North Forge Angel Network is free to join and is open to accredited and non-accredited individuals who are looking to invest and provide mentorship to our founders. So right now that constitutes about 45 tech-enabled or advanced manufacturing companies right now that are kind of open to doing the raise. A couple that you will actually meet in a few minutes. The North Forge Angel Network is not a fund, but rather an opportunity to help you identify investment deals. So we'll be hosting deal screenings come this spring. So if you want to be involved, reach out to me. I'll actually put something in the chat. But before I introduce the Manitoba companies, I just want to share how excited we are to be working with Foresight, Jeanette and Stephen, who have been incredible to work with. We want to increase the number of clean tech companies that are coming out of Manitoba. And we're starting to see that in the last year. We're starting to gain some traction. And Foresight, the program that you have offered some of our founders, has been absolutely incredible, like world class. And I'm really excited to see what you're going to be offering as Foresight continues, because Jeanette is a force to be reckoned with. And I just know that with clean tech in Canada, you will be the leaders. So just really excited to be working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joelle, for those kind words. And now the part I think we're all been waiting for is the companies. Before we move on to that, I will mention this session will be recorded today. For those of us who couldn't make it, there are 109 participants on the line, which we're very happy about, but we know that there's other people who'll be interested in hearing these stories. So with that, Joelle, shall we introduce our first?
Yes, with pleasure. So our first company, Carbon Block. These North Forge founders are going to disrupt the market as they use blockchain technology to make climate programs cost neutral by unlocking previously inaccessible carbon offsets. The market size that Carbon Block is addressing is the $80 billion global carbon market. Go ahead, Carbon Block.
Oh, Alex, you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Jeez, rookie, sorry guys. Hi everybody, my name is Alex Stewart. I am CEO and co-founder of Carbon Block. Very excited to be speaking with you today. I'm joined on my team by my co-founder, Justin Phillips. We've been in business for over 15 years. We're serial entrepreneurs. This is our third firm together. And our CFO, Peter Morera, who's a who's a CPA. As Joelle mentioned, carbon economy represents $80 billion in 2019, having grown to $250 billion in 2020, representing a 300% increase despite the face of a global pandemic. And yet the carbon economy is all manual. Imagine if we were still conducting credit card transactions manually. It can't scale. And specifically, the environmental audit is conducted manually. And our technology stack automates the creation, distribution, and retirement of carbon assets. We are seeking strategic partners, governments, utilities, and corporations who understand the great power that comes with the growing carbon economy. Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Alex. Joelle, who do we have up next?
All right, just unmuting myself. All right, up next we have Carbon Lock. These North Forge founders are developing a prototype technology capable of converting organic waste into a stable form of biocarbon called biochar that can be then utilized in agriculture, manufacturing, and construction.
Thank you, Joelle. When you drive by your local landfill on a warm summer day, that wonderful aroma you smell wafting in the breeze is organic waste breaking down, creating noxious odors, and worse, decomposing into methane, a greenhouse gas 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Hello, I'm Terry Gray, co-founder and CEO of Carbon Lock Technologies, and we have a solution for this. Biocarbon, a clean form of carbon that is useful, valuable, and certain to disrupt the waste management industry. With the ability to accept organics from the difficult waste streams, our patent-pending technology will capture and sequester carbon from the millions of tons of organic waste Canadians produce each year. And once it's locked in soils, concrete, or even a mine shaft, we can sell it as a carbon offset on global carbon markets. Our business model features 3 revenue streams and is built for rapid scaling. We are currently raising $200,000 to begin working towards our first commercial carbonization facility. I want to thank you for listening to our winning opportunity.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Terry.
Yes, thank you, Terry. Up next, we have Grid. This company is using underutilized assets to make parking easier and reduce congestion using an advanced parking marketplace app.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Josh, and I'm Managing Director at Grid, a Canadian-born startup committed to driving property tech forward. Parking is broken, and no one is talking about the problem. The parking industry has remained stagnant, inefficient, and environmentally unconscious for too long. There are an average of 7 parking spaces for every car in North America, yet a parking shortage still exists somehow, as the majority of these parking spaces are inaccessible to consumers. The environmental impact of a poor utilization of parking infrastructure and space in general is deplorable. So the solution, we currently have relationships with 22% of the Canadian primary real estate sector in other divisions of our business. And we want to connect the dots by tapping into an existing inventory of empty parking spaces in property management, but with a unique twist, including the tenant and the landlord in the process. It's basically the Airbnb of parking managed facilities. That's all the time I have, and I look forward to elaborating in the 3-minute session.
Thank you, Josh. And last but not least, we have FeedFlow, an innovative IoT system to ensure maximum feeding efficiency for livestock.
Thank you. All right. No hog producer wants to walk into their barn and see a dead pig lying on the slatted floor. Yet here we are in 2021 with over 5% of pigs in the USA dying and needing to be disposed of before they can be adequately brought to market. And the rest of them aren't growing as quickly and efficiently as they ought to be, primarily because of management limitations. Now, unfortunately, the major causes of mortality and morbidity on barns are largely treatable and sometimes preventable. The issue is that they're not being detected quickly enough by the manual labor staffing these barns. So implementing a technology and solving these problems will improve animal welfare across the industry and save production companies millions of dollars per year in feed and labor costs. So that's exactly what we do here at FeedFlow. Our Internet of Things device and accompanying cloud system monitors feed consumption on barns in real time and can send alerts to producers and nutritionists when sudden changes to consumption are seen, indicating a potential health risk at that site. Corrective actions can be taken quickly, and many pigs and money can be saved in the process. I'm Ethan, the COO of FeedFlow Limited, And we're the Fitbit for barns, and we're looking for $1 million to fund our North American scale up. Thank you.
Now we will move on to our first panel that I mentioned at the top of the day there with a few guests of ours, and I see Ian there. Let's see if I can pin him there. We've got Ian and Jessica and Alicia. So I'm going to start by introducing our panelists, and then we will get into some questions and answers. If you do have any questions as I go through, please do feel free to write them in the chat, and I will try to incorporate them. If that makes sense, I'm going to start chatting a little bit about our panelists. So Ian Philp is the head of energy and environment at the Canadian Consulate in New York City. His role is to help Canadian climate tech companies to connect with customers, investors, and strategic partners across the United States, which he does through the Consulate's CTA Climate Tech program. So very happy to have him here today to share some of his insights and what he's seeing in the US market. We also have Alicia Lennis. She is a vice president at Chrysalix. She's based in Vancouver. She works on investment thesis development, deal sourcing, due diligence, and portfolio management. Sounds like it keeps her fairly busy and certainly plugged into the Cleantech ecosystem. And Alicia has close to 15 years of industrial technology sector experience. Our third panelist is Jessica Verhagen. Jessica leads the non-technical operations at Hydra Energy, including raising capital and business development. She previously was the VP of Business Development and Strategy for Ecosphere, the sales and marketing arm for Mirova Natural Capital in London, one of Europe's largest impact assessment managers. She supported the close of Series B, the go-to-market strategy and first customer acquisition for clean tech company Axine Water. And she was part of the founding team of Evoke Innovations, a fund that raised $100 million from oil and gas companies to invest in early stage clean tech. She started her career in government, where she led efforts to price carbon and foster the green economy in British Columbia. So very happy to have you three as our panelists today to answer some questions and chat about your experiences and different views on the space. I'm going to start with the tough question, if that's all right for everybody. So there have been false dawns in clean tech. We all remember painfully the expansion and investment, the solar a little over a decade ago, and what happened after that, and talk of investment before 2008. What do you think makes now the moment when there will actually be the adoption and when clean tech will tip into most industrial applications? And because Zoom has chosen to put you front and center on my screen, I'll say, Ian, why don't you start off?
Sure. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having me here today. So I think there's a couple of reasons why, this time it's different. And it's instructive, I think, to think about the last big sort of boom and bust cycle in clean tech, which is a little over a decade ago. At that point, I think you had some genuine interest, but a lot of venture capitalists that were looking at clean tech or climate tech as something that was going to generate returns akin to sort of software returns. You put in some money, 36 months later kind of thing, you're making your exit and you're out. One of the reasons why that was difficult is because obviously hardware-based physical technologies take longer to run through a cycle of development, to get customers to prove out their viability. So that was one aspect of it. I think investors that are coming into the space now are much more conscious of the challenges of dealing with hard tech and are prepared for them, so they have a bit more patient capital. And then the other thing is that, I think some of the policy landscape, especially in the United States, that had looked to be promising for clean tech or climate tech really didn't materialize in the way that it had hoped. So a combination of those two things were difficult before. What's different now is, number one, we've had, over a decade more of cost curve declines in production, certainly, of renewable energies. And so you have wind and solar, for example, established as very stable parts of the economy, and in fact, growth sectors of the economy in terms of generation, where they're generating at or below the cost of even legacy coal plants. So that as sort of a stable asset class is giving almost momentum, I think, to the rest of the sector and the innovation around it. And then the other intersecting sort of factors that you have to think about are the fact that climate change, I think, is much more visceral and real for folks now, whether it's the wildfires in California or flooding or any of the other really climate events that we're starting to see now. It's much more front and center in terms of public consciousness. And then in the United States, at least, again, this is by no means a sure thing, but you have really an economic revival plan that is centered around and focused on clean tech, climate tech, and the green economy. So I think all of those things coming together are creating tremendous sort of winds that are blowing the sector really forward and helping it to get over some of the hurdles it ran into before.
Thank you. And I think because Ian mentioned venture capitalists in his answer there, I'm going to have to turn to Elisa. Agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
Agree. You know, to build on what Ian was saying, I think on top of kind of the three elements he was positioning as being part of the change that's happened this time round is what I'll call kind of the full stack of finance and investment. So Cleantech 1.0 had, you know, lots of VC, lots of government support. What we're seeing that is really different with this time round is just the depth of finance that is now deeply interested and pursuing clean tech, climate tech opportunities. And so, for example, there is a group of about 50 or so asset managers that have set a net zero by 2050 for kind of all the assets that they own. They own 9 trillion of assets globally. And so that is just a huge kind of creates huge cascading opportunities throughout the financial chain. And we're seeing that difference really come into play. So where there was venture capital before, now there's infrastructure capital, deployment capital, and public and significant public market interest in this space as well. So agree.
Sounds like strongly agree even. Jessica, I think you've got an interesting viewpoint on this because obviously you sat on the capital side of things with Evoke, and now you're embedded in Hydra, which is commercializing a technology. Do you feel that as a reality in what you're doing at Hydra, that there is this full stack of capital available to you?
Yeah, good question, Stephen, and thanks to Foresight for the invite for this interesting event. Yeah, I think it's sector by sector. Ian pointed out there's a lot of different subsectors, and some of them are moving forward really quickly. I mean, in our, I guess, subsector of hydrogen and transportation, those are both hot topics right now. And Alicia pointed out there's a lot of interest in even the public market. So what I'm finding makes things different from, say, Cleantech circa 2005 is that, yeah, there's a combination of hardware and software. Ian touched on, you know, getting more investors more used to the idea of hardware taking a longer time. There's also combining software with hardware. So, you know, for example, at Hydra, our solution isn't just the a kit that's installed onto a truck to make it co-combust with diesel and hydrogen together. It's the know-how behind the software to optimize that hydrogen injection into a diesel-based chamber. So that combination is, I think, a new piece, a new element that has really proliferated over the last number of years. The second is new business models. Alicia already talked about how we're expanding in terms of the different types of financial instruments that are available to us. Even in pre-revenue companies like Hydra, it's not just VCs anymore. You know, there's companies like Loop Energy, for example, that just did a SPAC and are now publicly listed. There's a number of other ways to raise capital are not limited to just VCs. And then on the business model offering side, we're seeing more and more clean tech companies that are creating win-wins for the company and their customers that are scalable by offering their solutions as a service or in different business model configurations that allow the customer to adopt these faster. They're economic, they're the same cost as the alternative. So with Hydra, you know, we're offering our solution at no cost to the customer, and the fleet pays 5% less than they would have for diesel. That's the solution that's really scalable, and we're seeing that across the market, that these opportunities aren't, you know, research in labs or where you're looking for a first customer that's paying a boatload or getting lots of government grants. We're talking about really scalable business models now, and that's, I think, a big difference as well. So those are the things that we're seeing over here at Hydra for capital raising.
Fantastic. And Jessica, you raised the issue of scaling, and obviously you've got a business model that will scale and allow you to scale well. Do you see that happening kind of from beachhead markets and growing slowly across different, or with massive potential infrastructure investment from the United States allowing rapid adoption across countries instead of sort of slowly expanding your market geographically or to a new country? Will it kind of happen en masse?
I think there's always going to be some more favorable markets. That being said, as Ian pointed out, the shifts in policies that are happening under the Biden administration are tremendous and allow for some potentially really rapid expansion. We're still seeing that it is kind of regional in that, for example, for hydrogen deployment, you can't deploy trucks without fueling stations and vice versa. So there's still a chicken and egg problem where, large injections of capital into infrastructure can make huge differences, as we're seeing in some of the countries that have put out their own hydrogen strategies, like Germany, Japan, South Korea. And then Canada, of course, put out its own hydrogen strategy back in December. So there is some beginning to be some markets that are emerging as more favorable for certain types of investments. We can get more into it when we talk about government regulation, but for sure there are some areas that, due to carbon pricing, having a well laid out hydrogen strategy that can be more attractive for us to build up further in.
Fantastic. And Alicia, Jessica sort of brings up, or maybe I brought it up, I can't remember, the amount of infrastructure capital, the amount of dollars that are being deployed. And you sort of mentioned now there's so much more money available from the public markets to from VCs and deployment and infrastructure funds. Is there any fear you have that this might create a bubble, that there's not actually enough fundable technologies or fundable projects, and this will actually reduce the returns for investors, or cause a sort of problem like we saw in the past?
So, a two-part answer to that question. So on one hand, kind of the energy transition is just a massive opportunity globally. I think Mark Carney, our ex-Bank of Canada head and the ex-Bank of England head, said the energy transition is the kind of greatest investment opportunity of a generation. So on one hand, we definitely kind of think that there's a huge amount of opportunity. On another hand, as Jessica mentioned, the key word at the moment is SPACs, and the public markets certainly have developed a appetite for huge investments in pre-revenue companies. That's exciting because that creates huge opportunities for clean tech companies, but we are kind of keeping an eye on that. Will there be any issues if there are some mishaps that happen in the SPAC markets that create a bit of a greater aversion from those public market investors? So on one hand, opportunity, on another hand, let's hope nobody ruins the party.
Caution is always to be observed. Excellent. Ian, there was a mention of the amount of infrastructure dollars and the amount of and the policies in the United States, which I'm assuming, being in New York, you're following quite closely. Is there anything that you think that Canadian regulators can learn either from the US regulators, or perhaps even in your work with NYSERDA in terms of fostering technology?
Yeah, I can think of sort of two things. The first is that NYSERDA, which for those who don't know is the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. Just to put this into context, New York State as a state has a budget that is equivalent to the budget of Canada as a whole. So, the state to the country, we're at about the same level. NYSERDA is in charge of all of the energy and climate work across the state. The first thing is that they've set some really core missions for what NYSERDA is going to try and accomplish. GHG reductions, increasing the amount of renewable energy on the grid, energy efficiency and building decarbonization, which is a big one. building a resilient energy system, so a distributed system that is coming on its own with or without NYSERDA's help. But I think the biggest one, and the one that maybe could be helpful for Canadian regulators, is that they've put a strong focus on building a clean energy economy. So as they transition New York's economy, they are also very laser focused on making sure that New York is the hub of where this new technology is innovated, where it's built, where it's developed, where it's financed. And that is something that, if I may say, I think that for this transition to be something that we can really get Canadians to be behind, you need to have a really clear vision of what that's going to look like. One example of that is just last week, NYSERDA put $10 million into a new facility that's going to try and bring carbon tech to market. And so this is technologies that either capture carbon, whether it's point source or direct air capture, or use it as an input for an industrial process. So take captured carbon and turn it into plastics, turn it into fuels, turn it into fertilizer, et cetera. Now, this is obviously a market that is pretty nascent at this point. The cost curves are not where they need to be for mass adoption. But following the example of wind and solar, and then now this sort of ongoing downward cost trend of batteries, New York State is looking ahead and saying we need to invest now to make sure that we are the hub of this technology, that we are involved in bringing all the players together, and we are actually where this innovation takes place and where this market starts to grow. And I think that kind of approach gives people kind of the upside of the transition, as well as some of the costs that are going to come along with it. So that's something that I think is pretty positive.
Excellent. That kind of clarity of regulatory intent of saying we're going to do this, we're going to be the hub. That's a big driver in and of itself. Jessica, you sort of mentioned earlier, the hydrogen roadmaps for the United States, for Canada, for Germany, for other things. How important is that regulatory framework for the adoption of, and because you're in hydrogen transportation, I'll let you speak to that market specifically.
Sure. It is actually really important to provide certainty for companies over what the policies are and what the long-term view is of those policies. In BC, for example, we benefit from the carbon tax, as any clean tech company would, not just in hydrogen. The carbon intensity of our fuels ratcheting down via the low carbon fuel standard, which again, that just won't benefit hydrogen. That would be any kind of low carbon fuel that's used in transportation. And then we also have a renewable gas content requirement of 15% by 2030. So that's like your heating fuels. Also hydrogen could be applied there. So that alone, those three policies are going to encourage a lot of low carbon innovation in British Columbia because of that leadership. And Foresight wrote a report towards the end of last year called Building a Better BC. And it dove into more ways that make BC attractive to scale our clean tech sector, because it's not just about adding another grant, for example. Although those are helpful as well. They took a more holistic view, and they mentioned, for example, affordable housing to attract talent. When we think about scaling clean tech companies in BC, we need to think broader about who will work in those clean tech companies as we scale them, and attracting talent is a big component of that. And if it's too expensive to live here and they'd rather move to other cities, that's an important factor to consider. So it's looking holistically at kind of the policies across the spectrum and how that will impact the scaling of clean tech companies as they hopefully we get more and more maturing here in BC and in Western Canada.
Right. So a number of policies required in terms of both enabling the business model to work and encouraging the adoption of the technology, but also fostering what the company will require in terms of employees and trained and skilled labor.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Alicia, how do you kind of weigh that government regulation as you look at companies and technologies? Do you look for things that are based in markets that are currently very regulatorily friendly to technology adoption, or do you look at companies and say they can move in markets and someone will always be friendly and want to act like New York State and NYSERDA and create a friendly environment for them as long as the technology is good?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, we're certainly kind of, we think that companies or technologies that can create enough value that they do not necessarily kind of need specific government support is always very attractive. But the reality is, with kind of the infrastructure, the hardware projects that we're talking about for the clean tech technologies, it's an important part of it. And I think the most important point that Jessica said is really that consistency of technology. Part of the challenges of the clean tech kind of 1.0 was the kind of lack, over time, over long timelines, more than 4 years, let's say, the lack of consistency of the different kind of policies. So, as long as there is kind of consistent vision and consistency for those policies, we think that that creates the right environment for companies to grow and expand.
Excellent, excellent. I could sit here and chat with you all day. We've only got a couple minutes left, so I'll ask you one quick final question. Ian, what's the most exciting trend that you're seeing right now in clean tech?
Hard to put my finger on one. I'll give one example from New York City that I think is really heartening. So I think, I think Alicia had it exactly right there, that you need that consistency. But I think the really big urgency and where a lot of the capital is going to go is just into deployment as fast, as quickly, as aggressively as possible. New York City passed something called Local Law 97 in 2019, which essentially mandates all the buildings in the city above 25,000 square feet, and there's about 50,000 buildings that fall into that category, have to significantly reduce their emissions by 2024 for the bottom performers, and then 2029 for the rest. Now, New York City is unique because we don't have as many cars, we have a lot more density than other places. Buildings are about 70% of the emissions in the city. The estimates that have been done on this is that just that policy, with sort of the carrot of support that the city has provided and the stick of the penalties that would come along with not complying, is going to create about a $20 billion market. What's very exciting for me about that is that building energy efficiency retrofits is something that, in general, it's capital intensive at first, but it generates returns all the way down the line as long as you own or operate the building. You just need something to get people over the hump. Now, creating this market in New York not only sort of shows the capacity and what building energy efficiency retrofits can do in an existing urban setting, but it also helps to get some of the cost out of it. So I'm starting to see things about, automation of some of the engineering services that are required to look at these buildings. And instead of it being a bespoke process for each building, you can kind of automate that and find some commonalities across a large portfolio of buildings and drive cost out of it, just as has been done in the solar installation space, just as has been done in a couple of other spaces. So it's really exciting for me to see this massive sort of infrastructure deployment opportunity really starting out in one place, but with the potential to take those lessons, reduce the cost, and then expand all over the world.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ian. And Jessica, I just have to ask, you've been on the venture side, you've been on the carbon credit trading side, you're now in a hydrogen company. If you weren't in hydrogen transportation, what part of the sector would you be in?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think if we're really serious about harnessing the full potential of hydrogen, we need hydrogen storage, where we take a surplus of energy that's created by renewables during low energy demand periods, and we use it to power electrolysis. So I think that would be an exciting space to be in, because it's such a required part of the value chain that is a bit underserved right now. But then the other part of me thinks I'm totally sustainability at heart all the time. And I'm really excited to see things like electric vehicles take off as well in the mobility space, but then being able to recycle some of the components of that. So we're not continually having the poor environmental impacts associated with mining something from scratch. We're actually reusing and recycling. So things like recycling lithium, I think, are really exciting spaces to be involved in the energy transition.
All right. And Alicia, really quickly to you, either, what company do you wish that existed that Chrysalix could invest in?
We are very interested in the whole spectrum of kind of clean tech opportunities. But one space where we see less companies of, because it potentially arguably is a harder question, is the hard to abate sectors. So industrial heat, all the kind of secondary processing, and also all the kind of material mining resources that we need to do the energy transition. How do we get the minerals we need to have the energy transition. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you all for your time today and your participation, sharing a little bit of your insight and experience. We do have to move on because we have a busy day, lots more companies to get to, but thank you again for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
As promised, up next, we have Saskatchewan. And for Saskatchewan, I promised a different co-host for every different region. This one will be Carrie Harvey from Innovation Saskatchewan. Carrie, if you'd like to say a few words, let them know what it is, Innovation Saskatchewan's interest is in the clean tech space and generally your organization's involvement in technology development.
Okay, thanks very much. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone. And thanks, Stephen, to you and your team at Foresight for all the great work that you're doing to support the clean tech community here. And I'm really, really excited to be here today as this event marks the first milestone in our recently formed partnership with Foresight. While Innovation Saskatchewan delivers a suite of technology sector support programs that I'm going to touch on in a moment, we partnered with Foresight specifically to help accelerate the development and growth of a vibrant clean tech sector based in Saskatchewan. And we feel really strongly here that this is a place that Saskatchewan can really play a big role. And we're really pleased. I'm really excited to see that we have 7 amazing companies that are participating and will be pitching today. As we move to meet our emissions obligations and deploy more environmentally friendly practices across our provincial economy, nationally and internationally, innovations coming from our clean tech sector are becoming increasingly important. I can hardly wait to hear from our first cohort of companies who completed the Foresight Launch and Deliver program. But first, I just want to shamelessly, I guess, take a few moments to talk about what we do here in Innovation Saskatchewan. So we're a special operating agency of the government formed about 11 years ago or so to oversee Saskatchewan's R&D investments and more broadly to build out the innovation ecosystem here. On the research side, we fund a number of research institutes in the province, including the Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization, or VIDO, which many of you have probably heard of in the news. They are currently in clinical trials to provide a made in Canada vaccine candidate in the fight against COVID. On the innovation ecosystem side, we're best known for proactively supporting the growth of Saskatchewan's tech sector more broadly. And we do this by working across government with the technology community to address talent shortages, by launching Saskatchewan's first technology startup incubator called CoLabs, by creating one of Canada's most competitive angel investor tax credit programs, the Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive, which is a 45% tax incentive to attract seed capital investment into early stage tech companies. And I'm happy to say that in our budget this year, that was approved for another 5 years. By creating the Ag Tech Growth Fund, which supports the development of technologies for the ag sector, along with the Saskatchewan Advantage Innovation Fund to support development and field trials of our most promising new technologies. And finally, through our Made in Saskatchewan Technology program and our Innovation Challenge programs, we've harnessed provincial government procurement and service delivery gaps to give Saskatchewan companies that all-important first customer. And these are just a few of our programs and programs that many of the companies that you're going to hear from today have benefited from. So in summary, we've got a lot going on with our innovation ecosystem here, and the tools that Innovation Saskatchewan has added are doing much to help drive the growth of a vibrant technology sector in the province. So, and with that, I am really, really super excited to introduce our Saskatchewan companies that are pitching today. Stephen, do you want me just to hop right into this?
Dive right in, yeah.
Okay, all right. So first up, and we're going to have 2 groups here. First up, we've got Jason Trach with Proteus Water. With successful small-scale water treatment solutions deployed overseas, Proteus has retooled their approach and are looking to make a big splash in the Canadian market. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Jason.
Thank you. and welcome everyone. My name is Jason Tratch. I'm owner, CEO of Proteus Waters, and very passionate about sewage with over a decade of experience in clean tech. So we solve problems that traditional sewage solutions cannot. We easily meet the new stricter regulations and new pollutants address, and we avoid the costly, stressful overruns involved with regulatory engineering and construction. So we sell a standardized modular sewage plant that is packaged, and it turns the sewage into clean water and does this. We do this as a full service solution provider. So easy and fast to deploy. We do the design, permit, manufacture, install, operate, and lifetime support. So our plants cost $3.4 million each. We've already sold 2 in the last 3 years. So we've got traction. Our focus customers, we've narrowed it down to private residential developments with a max population of 1,500 people. That Canadian market is $2 billion annually. So we're forecasting $30 million revenue over the next 3 years. We're asking for $2 million for shares as part of a new sales and distribution company. So I look forward to discuss how we can work together to make sewage sexy in the business world.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Next up, we have Rick Retzlaff with Lightleaf Solar. With sales and units already in the field, we're excited to see how Lightleaf can scale their solutions for solar power in mobile applications. Over to you, Rick.
Hey, good morning, folks. I'm Rick with Lightleaf Solar. We make high-performance solar panels for things that move. Cars, trucks, RVs. These are all going electric in the next little while. And we're at the beginning of a sea change. You know, it's the electrification of our transportation system. Now, solar can be a big part of this change, but take up right now has been really limited, primarily because solar panels are designed for houses, okay? You'd never take asphalt shingles and nail them to the top of your car. So why would you do that with solar panels? And that's where we come in. We developed a very new and different kind of a solar panel that's very light and rigid and strong. And this can be built into vehicles rather than being pasted on. We're currently in production with our first product for RVs. And we're taking the first steps into the lowest hanging fruit of transportation, which is providing solar power for ambulances. So thanks, and I'll see you folks in the breakout.
Thanks, Rick. Next up, we've got Jay Brown with Pressure Corp. Making use of a wasted resource to generate clean electricity, Pressure Corp is using tried and tested technology to take advantage of changing market conditions.
Thanks, Carrie. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Brown, and I'm the CEO of Pressure Corp. And Pressure Corp is in the business of capturing existing waste pressure from natural gas pipelines and turning it into valuable emissions-free power. Gas is transported at high pressure, but used at low pressures, and the energy difference is currently wasted. And this waste is what we're going to recover and monetize. Our business model innovation pays industrial facilities for their waste pressure in exchange for hosting projects financed by patient third-party capital. Mechanical work captured at an individual industrial facility can generate roughly 1 to 15 megawatts of power. And we've identified over 11,000 facilities in North America that have a combined power potential of over 2 gigawatts. This portfolio of projects represents a $2 to $5 billion investment opportunity. And Pressure Corp's goal is to obtain a 15% stake of all the waste pressure PPAs in Canada and the United States. And we're looking for capital investors and industry partners with high natural gas needs who want to help us scale our solution and unlock the value of waste pressure across North America. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. And last in this group, we've got Ron Gleim with Exterminator. Turning a lifelong challenge into a personal passion, Ron has developed a cost-effective and environmentally friendly way to kill weeds. You're up, Ron.
I'm trying, okay, I got you. Hey, thanks, Carrie. My name is Ron Gleim, CEO of Exterminator. I've been farming for over 45 years, and the last 20 years an organic farmer, and weeds still are my #1 problem. I invented Exterminator for pesticide-free, environmentally friendly weed control on large-scale farms. The problem today is that the global weed market is $39 billion a year. There's 270 weeds that are immune to chemicals today. There's 18 countries that are banning glyphosate, and farmers are looking for another solution. And that solution is Exterminator, high pressure, steam to control weeds. Exterminator will kill weeds, even immune weeds. It eliminates herbicide residue in the soil and on the crop, lowers input costs. It's safe to use, it's safe for the environment. And Exterminator, we believe we're on the verge of an environmental sustainable solution for weed control without chemical for farmers worldwide and for consumers. We're looking forward to talking to like-minded companies and investors about our future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ron and Carrie. And now it's time for our next breakout room.
All right, so group number 2, we've got 3 more companies to introduce. First up, we have New Life Green Tech. And Jerry Christian and his team have been improving the efficiency of biofuel production with a novel catalyst that does not require additional capital investment to reap the benefits. Over to you, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Carrie. New Life accelerates renewable fuel production to deliver a profitable, low-carbon future. Good day, I'm Jerry Christian, co-CEO and co-founder. Renewable fuels are absolutely taken off, growing by 24% annually. They are a solution to reduce emissions that will benefit under the carbon tax. The problem is that a key production step is slow and expensive. We have solved that problem. New Life has developed a drop-in solution for these renewable fuel producers that outperforms current technologies by a factor of 2. We deliver more renewable fuels more cost effectively, which delivers more profits and reduced emissions. And we have traction. An industry leader will pilot test our solution this August in their equipment and at their expense. This is our initial product for a $1.4 billion market. And our team of A+ advisors are comprised of technical, commercial, and financial professionals. We're looking to raise $1 million to complete final commercial testing and processes. Thanks for your consideration. We look forward to talking about how you can be a part of the New Life solution.
Thanks, Jerry. All right, next up, we have Prairie Robotics. Sam Dietrich and his team already have a successful exit from one venture, and we believe that the team at Prairie Robotics has ability to marry information technology to waste management needs. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you very much, Carrie. I'm Sam Dietrich, CEO and co-founder of Prairie Robotics, where we make recycling simple. Across North America, 1/3 of what gets placed in a residential blue bin is actually garbage. This is known as contamination and leads to recycling processors placing hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars of fines on municipalities. Municipalities are struggling under already constrained budgets and don't have the means to scale education across an entire city. Our technology is able to identify contamination at the source and perform targeted and educated and outreach. We have 3 paid pilots starting this spring. We're currently looking for strategic investors to help us scale the solution, in addition to working with additional municipalities. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. And last company in our group here today from Saskatchewan is Michael Drabiak from Gentle Processing. And the team at Gentle Processing has refined decades of meticulous research and development to help food producers deliver the right taste profiles with high nutritional value while ensuring the safety and extending the shelf life of food while remaining certified organic. So I will turn it over to you, Michael.
Thanks for the introduction, Carrie. What if we could assist in preventing the loss of 1.3 billion tons of food wasted every year and ensure that we have a more safe and secure, nutritious food supply? Hi, my name is Michael Drabiak, co-founder and CEO of Gentle Processing Technologies. We have refined the use of radio frequencies with the assistance of software to provide commodity producers and processors the ability to address these preventable situations. Unlike any other system, we treat the commodity in a non-invasive process, retaining texture, improving flavor profiles, and maintaining nutrients, just the way nature intended. Our state-of-the-art equipment can be customized to fit into small or large processing facilities. So, Let us invest together to ensure a safe and quality food supply while addressing industry needs and our planet's longevity. Looking forward to seeing you in the breakout to discuss our financial future. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much, Carrie. And with that, we'll be going back to our breakout rooms. And when we return, we'll have a new host for the Alberta section. So thank you very much, Carrie, for hosting the Saskatchewan companies. I think you did a fabulous job and another tough choice with those 3 companies. Tony, are you going to open up the rooms now? Yes, thank you. That concluded the Saskatchewan portion of our events, which means rolling east to west. Next province up is Alberta. Very excited for our partners in Alberta, Startup TNT, and as well the inimitable Zachary Storms, the founder and CEO of Startup TNT, who's here as our host for this section of the presentation. Zachary, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Stephen. Thanks for having me, Foresight. At Startup TNT, we host pitch nights all the time. We actually get together every single Thursday. We ran a great event in partnership with Actia and Foresight over the winter, ended up raising $500,000 at our last Cleantech Investment Summit. So awesome job, Cleantech community. And really happy to be here. So I'll tell you a little bit about Startup TNT and what we do. TNT actually stands for Thursday Night Tradition, because at our heart, we're a startup gathering point. We run 52 happy hours a year. In 2020, we ran 3 investment summits. In 2021, I think we're going to double that. I'm pretty excited about it. Thousands of people attending our events. And one of my favorite statistics, $30,000 in sponsored beer. We were just talking about that earlier. When we started this happy hour almost 2 years ago, I started this beer sponsorship leaderboard, which was really just a way for local people to say, hey, I like entrepreneurs. I want to be part of the community. I want to get together and have fun with them too. And I'll buy beer for some friends. It was just kind of like a small way to say, small gesture to say, let's get to know each other. Let's buy a beer for a friend. And so that's really kind of the core of Startup TNT, and a big part of our philosophy. It's have fun, make friends, then build companies together. So we try and incorporate that mantra into everything that we do. And while we started off as this gathering point for entrepreneurs and scientists and investors, we've now been doing it for 100 weeks. We just celebrated, pretty awesome statistic. And we've now invested $1.9 million into 11 different companies, primarily from Alberta, but now we've actually raised some money for a Saskatchewan company. Wine Crush is primarily in BC, a little bit in Alberta too. And I'm really excited about the future. So we're actually launching our next investment summit, and I'll give you guys just a little bit of detail how these investment summits work, because it sounds like it's a one-day event. It's called a summit, which is part of it. But really, it's an 8-week deal sourcing and deal screening process where we get about 30 to 40 companies that apply. We get about 30 investors to participate. Each investor commits $5,000 up front to make as an investment with the team. So the investors are forming a syndicate. There's about 25 to 30 people in them. So we're starting off with a minimum of 125 to 150K, should be 150K for this summit. And they all work together to screen the local companies, go through due diligence, share best practices. We got new, we got seasoned investors, they're all working together. And then they pick at least one company for investment. But what I like about it is that every time we've done it, more than one company has raised money. So we're averaging between 2 and 3 companies raising money at the summits. There's even a company that wasn't even in the top 5 last time that is telling me that they've raised some money from people they met through the summit. So it's really the point isn't to be a pitch competition. The point is to actually build relationships, start networking, and then together share best practices around angel investing and raising a round, and then actually put money into local deals. So that's our philosophy. Next investment summit applications are now open. In 2020, we had 83. So this is our city summits. So basically, this is going to be for the entire Alberta ecosystem. We got an Edmonton stream, we got a Calgary stream. We're going to have about 60 investors participating. Here's the stats from when we did it in 2020. In the fall, we're doing it this spring. We've already got like 9 or 10 companies applied already and about 35 investors committed. So encourage anyone from the Alberta ecosystem to think about applying. And if you're planning on raising money, it's a great place to get started and meet local investors. So with that, I'm going to end it. I'm not sure if I went over time, Stephen, but I think we're ready to.
Absolutely.
to move on to our actual presenters. That's what we're here for.
That's what we are here for. And so let's get started with the first one. Zach, you want to?
Yeah, our first presenter is Scott Russell from Power HV, who's reinventing bushings for the electrical transmission industry. Scott, take it away.
Zach. And coming to you not from Alberta, but from snowy Winnipeg today. So Power HV, in our power systems currently, there is a huge problem, and that is that the majority of power in a utility system is lost at the bushings. That's the connection point between transformers and power lines. There's a few problems. Number one is that the traditional way bushings are made with oil are unsafe. 70% of the fires and explosions that happen when bushings fail are because of the way that bushings are currently made with oil, with paper, with materials that aren't very good for the environment and that are unsafe. Utilities over the lifetime of a bushing, per bushing, may lose up to $50,000 in lost energy that just seeps out and is lost through the bushing. So there's a huge problem here. And Power HV has solved that problem. They've solved that problem by creating a bushing technology, a patented bushing technology that uses energy efficient screens. It uses a resin technology so that there's 0% chance of fire explosion. So that's increased safety for the public and for employees. And that reduces losses by 50%. So that saves GHGs because you're using less fuel and other means to power your system. It means more efficient systems. It means more money in the pockets of ratepayers and the utility. So these are the products that Power HV has created. We currently have customers in North America, in South Africa. We are in production. We have a patent and we are fully certified to utility standards. And so we are looking for connections to industry. We're also looking for some seed funding. And so join me in my room to learn more about the power industry.
Awesome, Scott. Love that traction. Love when I hear people having money and then looking, or having some customers, having a product and then looking to raise money to scale. Great story to tell people, Scott. Okay, we're going to move right along to the next presenter, who is Claude from Grow Here, here to tell us about growing ripe local strawberries any time of year. I'm excited about this one as strawberries are my daughter's favorite fruit. So Claude, take it away.
Oh, Claude, you're on mute if you could.
Oh, there we are. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Stephen. Good morning. Canadians have got an insatiable appetite for strawberries, as we're the second largest importers of berries in the world. My name is Claude Gazar. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Grow Here Harvest, an Alberta-based vertical farming company. We grow all natural berries locally all year round. That ensures a consistency in supply and pricing and eliminates the 50% spoilage factor. Our berries are picked ripe and delivered the same day. We have exclusive rights to an award-winning 9-meter-tall grow tower system that uses less land and water than conventional farms. Plus, we'll utilize waste heat to offset our energy costs and implement artificial intelligence to improve our efficiency. Our team includes agricultural and project management expertise, and our demo facility's first harvest is expected this June. We're seeking $18 million to scale up to 4 million pounds a year of strawberries, which is 10% of the Alberta market. Look forward to seeing you in our breakout. Thanks.
Awesome job, Claude. Impressive stats there. And we're going to move it right along to our third speaker of this session, someone I know named Clint from Hydrodyne. Clint, are you here?
You betcha, Zach. Hey, thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. My name's Clint Dietz, the CEO of Hydrodyne. There are over 350,000 natural gas wells in Western Canada that are severely penalized for methane emissions. Hydrodyne has a solution that turns this penalty into a revenue-generating credit for gas producers. We do this with our compact platform technology. We remove the current methane-emitting equipment at these well sites and replace them with a zero-emission solution that is easily integrated. We have commitments for field trials beginning in May that will demonstrate how our solution eliminates methane emissions and materially reduces capital and operating costs. I look forward to sharing how Hydrodyne will capture this $460 million opportunity and how you can be a part of it. Thanks.
Awesome job, Clint. I've seen you give this presentation wearing a hard hat as well. It works both ways, Clint. Nice job. All
Thank
right,
you.
Stephen, over to you. Tell us what's going on next.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zach. Tony's going to be opening up the breakout rooms. You're going to have another tough choice of who you want to spend the next 15 minutes learning more about. So, Tony, open up those breakout rooms and we will hear more from the presenters.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the last breakouts. And we got 3 more great companies to give us a little pitch and then some more breakouts to attend to. So I'm excited to hear from SCF Can. Christian should be here telling us about using supercritical carbon dioxide to remove valuable materials from hazardous waste.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, I'm here. Good morning, everyone. I'm Christiane Street. I'm president and co-founder of SCF Can. We are a woman-owned pre-seed startup in Edmonton, and our mission is to recover valuable compounds from industrial waste using our clean carbon dioxide extraction tech. Our current target is waste from oil well drilling, typically landfill, but contains a highly refined oil that's essential to the drilling process. 3 billion liters of this oil is lost to disposal worldwide every year because of limited recovery options. Our process is able to separate the oil from the waste in minutes, and the recovered oil can be directly reused in drilling. We can recover 30% of our customers' oil, and keeping the oil out of the landfill saves 75% of life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. We're currently seeking pilot partners to field test our tech at active rigs or landfills, and we're hoping our partner could bring up to $2 million in investment for these first demonstrations. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Okay, moving right along, we're going to keep things humming along here. I love this fast pace. Next up, we should have Landon Lounsbury from Plex Projects. And Plex Projects is using underutilized pipelines for emerging technologies. Plex, tell us all about it.
Awesome, thanks, Zach. There are currently over 840,000 kilometers of pipeline carrying oil and gas products installed in Canada today. That's enough to make enough pipe to reach the moon and back, or make 21 trips around the globe. But what will happen to this infrastructure when we are able to fully transition away from fossil fuels? And what type of infrastructure will we require to facilitate a net zero future? Plex Projects has the solution. Hi everyone, my name is Landon Lounsbury and I'm the CEO and founder of Plex Projects. We're a company dedicated to creating a circular economy through the redeployment of abandoned, decommissioned, and underutilized pipeline infrastructure to enable a $170 billion growing market. Our team has developed specific processes to rehabilitate these assets for the transportation of hydrogen and CO2. Our process is not only 80% cheaper and 20% faster than building new, but it can also be completed with minimal disturbance to the public and environment. We are seeking strategic advisors and investors to assist in the development of our pilot, and I look forward to discussing this further in our next session.
Well done, Landon. Real diversity of people participating in this event. Great to see very different types of projects, and would love to learn more about this one, Landon. But maybe I'll join the breakout room. Next, we got our final speaker, someone I know really well, Bing from Nanode Batteries, who's here to tell us how, with her technology, we'd finally be able to make a trip from Edmonton to Calgary without recharging our Teslas. Bing, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Hi, everyone. I hope your phone battery and laptop battery are doing okay at this time. We have a wonderful morning, and I guess everyone just need a better battery and more energy, right? So my name is Bing Cao. My company is called Nanode Battery Technology, and we are here to make batteries better. We are solving a limitation bottleneck problem of the battery industry, which is the graphite. It's a good material, but it has been pushed to its performance limit. We have this innovation replacement for graphite that can reduce the volume of the battery by 40% and hence enhance the performance of a battery by 50%. So we are right now raising money for reaching the next milestone and set up the pilot testing. And yeah, if you want to know how to make your phone last longer, if you want to know how to make your electric vehicle to run further, please join our breakout session. Thank you.
Thank you, Bing, and thanks to everyone. I think Stephen's going to share with us what are our next steps, Stephen. More breakout rooms.
More breakout rooms. That's right. We've had our 3 options there. Now you have that tough choice of who you want to hear a little bit more from. Spend 15 minutes, have some questions answered from the companies. Tony, shall we open up those breakout rooms and let people move on? And Zach, I think we may not hear from you again, but thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me. A couple of people have reached out to connect. Appreciate the support. And anyone who's interested, check out our events. We hang out every single Thursday. And next investment summit's coming up this spring. Applications are live. So thanks so much for inviting me, Foresight team. And thanks for the opportunity to meet some of these great entrepreneurs. Take care.
Absolutely our pleasure. All right. Thank you everyone for coming back. That was the end of the Alberta companies. We are still going to have BC companies, another 9 companies coming up, starting at just about 10:55. In the meantime, we're going to take a little break. We're going to talk to some companies who are out in the space, who are growing and doing wonderful things, hear their stories and their experiences, because it's hard to hear just pitch after pitch after pitch sometimes. So we're going to take a little break now, talk to some fabulous entrepreneurs. We have Julie Angus here from Open Ocean Robotics, Andrea Crook from Optisize, Doug Brown from ZS2. I'm going to say that really slowly to make sure I get it right. And Udi from Dana, which I think I say correctly about half of the time.
Yeah.
Didn't nail it that time?
Dana, yeah.
Dana. Dana. Okay, well, I'll make it there eventually, hopefully with some help. To start off, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we get to see you in all your glory. And let's start off by setting the stage. Tell us a little bit about where your company is right now. What are the recent milestones? Where are you going next? I'll turn the floor over to Julie.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Really happy to be on this panel. So at Open Ocean Robotics, we produce autonomous solar-powered boats that collect ocean data. So we've worked with NOAA, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, the offshore wind industry, and Department of Defense to better protect and understand our oceans sustainably. So we are just launching our seed round right now, which will be a $2.5 million round. We've raised a pre-seed round in 2019, and that, in addition with grants and non-dilutive funding, really helped us develop our prototypes and go through a number of pilot projects. So we're at the stage where we're ramping up our commercialization, and we're going to use this funding to increase our sales, scale manufacturing, and deploy our services in Canada and the US.
Fantastic. Thank you for that rapid fire, concise delivery of lots of information and great progress to date. Udi, would you like to go next?
I'll unmute myself. Thank you. So we at Dana make integrated circuit based wireless power transmission. So we transmit power through the air and through existing structures using a chip, eliminating the needs for any cables, connectors, wires, plugs, etc. And our first vertical that we're chasing is integrating into solar manufacturing, into solar power manufacturing. And the rationale there is because we eliminate the cell-to-cell connectivity, and by that increase the production from a solar cell in bad conditions by up to 40%. And we're in a chip development, as some of you may know, is a very complex, and the market is very difficult these days. Despite all those challenges, we managed to send our chip to production, and we're expecting to receive it in this quarter to be tested, and then the product will be, V1 will be out there. And then now the main challenge is the integration into production process, which we're in the process of completing. And to fund that, we'll be launching another round of financing this next quarter to the tune of about $10 million, so we can complete the integration.
Fantastic, Udi. Thank you so much for that. Andrea, tell us a little bit about Optisize.
Well, we are a seismic acquisition solutions company, and we provide both consulting services and software, and we've been in business for about 10 years now. We're currently working on a research project to develop a software application called EcoSeis that will reduce the environmental impact of acquiring seismic data in boreal forests by limiting the amount of line clearing to only 50% of what is done on conventional programs. For our current project, we raised $470,000 through grants and client investment, Upon completion of the project in 6 to 8 months, we want to conduct a full-scale field trial, and that will require approximately $2 million in funding. So we're just starting the applications for this phase and hope to complete the raise within the next 6 months.
Thank you very much, which would leave us with Doug from ZS2.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. So at ZS2 Technologies, we fabricate prefabricated building solutions using our proprietary magnesium oxysulfate cements. Those cements are lower carbon footprint alternatives than conventional cements. And so we supply highly efficient building systems that have low operational carbon as well as low embodied carbon. We just completed or are very close to completing. There's always it's a bit like herding cats, getting those last checks in the door. So we're about 90% committed on our 1.75 million seed round funding, which should take us to positive cash flow in the later half of this year. And that technology that we're continuing to develop is based here in Alberta, and it uses magnesium oxide from a few different waste streams that we're hoping to online over the next couple of years into our already existing sales pipeline. So that seed funding should carry us through until 2022. And we're looking at doing subsequent financing for an element of our business, which focuses on carbon capture with a large mining company in the latter half of 2022.
Fantastic. And Doug, so you're currently closing a round in what is still a limited access environment where you can't actually meet people face to face. You have raised money previously to this, haven't you?
Correct. Yeah. So this was our second round of financing. I always struggle with the nomenclature around these financings. You got to forgive me, I'm a scientist, but the one that kind of stuck with me is that this was more or less bridge financing. We have a pretty significant sales pipeline, over 200 million over the next several years. And this is just to basically get us working capital and capital expenditure equipment and scale up capacity to execute on those sales.
I guess in terms of that, how have you found the current conditions? I mean, everyone's been living with COVID and restricted access for a year. Do you think that, and you've been able to build a healthy sales pipeline, that's commendable, and obviously raise 90% of your current round. Do you think that the removal of restrictions, hopefully we all get vaccinated, hopefully it's 6-9 months away where we can be in front of people again, do you think that that will make a big difference or help a lot? Have you felt a lot of pain from the current restrictions?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. I would say that based on the lack of travel times, we've been able to fit a lot more of these sort of client relation type meetings and groundwork type meetings in a day that historically you'd be traveling somewhere and you'd just be less efficient. I would say though that part of our sales story is to get people into our facility, which we are just opening in Southeast Calgary, and so that they can kind of touch and feel and see the whole manufacturing process. And there's quite an element of marketing to it. There's going to be a lab. We're going to show them, the different sort of value propositions around that, and then the whole manufacturing process in the back. So right now we've envisioned doing that with a drone that will kind of take off as needed. But I think that having people physically be able to come in and see the process is a part of our sort of marketing strategy. So that in a pandemic has certainly slowed us down. But with all the stimulus towards sort of ESG oriented companies and companies that are not just ideas, but actually we're already revenue generating, I think has really helped us. And so there's people who are eager to make investment in the space. And looking for sort of mindful investments, which has definitely helped us.
Fantastic. Julie, I saw you nodding a little bit about when Doug was talking about drones and how to, deliver that in-person impact without having people there. And obviously your product operates out in the waves, out in the ocean. How have you kind of brought home that message without being able to bring people down to the beach with you?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we have a drone for the water, solar powered autonomous boat. So I mean, COVID's interesting. I mean, it definitely does create this challenging environment for physical deployment of technology. So for example, we were supposed to do 2 pilots in the US, one in Massachusetts and one in California, and we couldn't, we just couldn't do them there. So we had to do them here in BC waters. But the good thing is we've got a lot of ocean here and a lot of different environments that can replicate the conditions that they would face in their home state. So we were able to replicate that here and then share that information with them. So various data streams, we have 360-degree camera, we have thermal camera, we have all the feeds from our sensors, whether it's our acoustic array, so a microphone for the water to listen for whales or to listen for vessels or different kinds of oceanographic sensors. So we could share all that. And we actually did have a drone come and film our pilot so we could get that aerial footage as well. So there are creative ways to overcome those challenges. At the same time, we're looking forward to travel restrictions easing and being able to go out and do some of these deployments on location. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, but I would say that, things have, I think we're fortunate in terms of the stage of our technology. We're still at the piloting, increasing the viability of our commercial offering. So we weren't out there in full on sales mode where we had to be at a customer site. And as we advance into that stage this year, the restrictions will hopefully ease up and enable us to do that.
Absolutely. Udi, in some way, Doug and Julie are lucky in that they've got a product that you can have a drone fly around and look at. I don't think you get to do that with your semiconductors, do you?
Nah, kind of hard to fly a fab. Yeah, so with the stage that we're at, most of the work at the moment is in the lab, is on computer screens and in the lab. We're going to be out there testing once we're out of the simulator, once we have the chip back integrated, etc. So I'm expecting that to happen later on in the year. Until then, we're still very much in the lab and in the simulators. So that's where we're at today.
But have you been able to build trust with some early customers and build some traction around that? I mean, is it just because it's so theoretical, the lab results speak for themselves, or?
To an extent, at some point, I actually had to board a plane and go to and go back east, and that was an interesting experience. Part of that was because what we're trying to do is relatively novel. I should say relatively; it's very novel, and there isn't really a mental framework for people to work around. We had to see for ourselves a few of those things and a few of those processes to see how we would be integrated, so we can then move the conversation forward. And on another front, to actually bring in some of those demos which can fit in a suitcase and show people that we are actually for real. So at some point we got to a point where it said there is no way to move forward without doing it, and luckily we were able to do it with no great exposure or risks. So yeah.
Good, fantastic. Andrea, yourself, you said your pilot has been successful. It's out in the field. You've shown that it works, and you've been able to do that over the past year while you've been building.
Yeah, we actually are not running a field trial yet. That's the next step. So everything we're doing is computer-based and office-based. But our company has had all our employees working remotely for 10 years now. So when COVID happened, it wasn't a huge change for us. And we are often working with people in South America or Australia or New Zealand where we don't get to travel to see them due to cost restrictions. So all of our relationships have to be built on the phone, through email, or virtually online. So we found COVID has actually helped with that because now more people are familiar with how to have virtual meetings. It was a bit of a challenge starting our research project. It took about 6 months to go through the funding round and to get the different companies participating in it. Some of those companies, 2 of them we had worked with previously, so we had relationships. but 3 of them were new to us. So we had to develop that rapport virtually. So I would encourage everybody to look directly in your camera. That helps a lot.
I'll take your advice on that. I'll try right now. Conscious of time, I'm going to ask you each one more question. I could spend the whole afternoon chatting with you, but unfortunately we have to move on and get back to some of the presenters here for our demo day. Udi, if we have you back on this panel a year from now, where will your company be?
Well, physically, we're probably going to be in the same place. However, we will be in our final deployment process is where we're aiming to be. And at that point, it's basically integration into production processes, and product prototypes are coming out of production lines to validate the process. Everything goes well, that's going to be a great place to be.
Fantastic. Julie, I'll ask you the same question. Where is Open Ocean Robotics in a year from now?
Yeah, so I think we'll have multiple deployments in Canada and the US for data services. So collecting ocean data to help monitor marine mammals and illegal fishing, and for other environmental monitoring applications.
Fantastic. Doug, ZS2. Yeah, you've already got sales, you already got people there. Where are you in a year?
Yeah, so I would say our second manufacturing facility is set up. We're currently sort of consolidating 2 of them, but we plan on launching another one. We have some pretty ambitious sales targets, hoping to hit the 10 million mark in the next year. And our patent has been accepted, and our CO2 uptake verified independently and certified.
Fantastic. And Doug, when you do get that little drone flying around the lab, do share that link with me. I've seen some of Julie's very cool videos of her vessel being rocked around in the waves. Andrea, where is Optisize in a year?
Well, hopefully we'll be running our phase 2 field trial, which should move our technology from TRL of 6 to hopefully 8 or 9. So in a year, I hope to be right in the middle of it, and hopefully we'll all be vaccinated and we can actually go out to the field to see it implemented.
See the magic happening. All right, with that, we do have to move on, but I want to say thank you to all our panelists. Again, you're making fantastic progress on very interesting projects. And someday, Udi, I promise I will be able to say your company name correctly.
Oh, that will be our test.
That's where I'll be in a year, is I'll be pronouncing that correctly. You see, I'm avoiding even saying it now. I'm afraid. I'm scared. I'm gonna wait. I'll practice offline.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. You. Bye, everyone.
Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Which is going to bring us back to the West Coast, British Columbia. And we have Thelza Lee from Vantech Angel Network as our host for this section. Thelza, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone. And I'm going to do a little plug for Vantech, but I've been listening in and out since Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and it's some really great companies all across our Western region. So I am just going to share my screen.
You bet.
And just tell you about Vantech. It is one of Canada's oldest angel groups. We've been operating since April 1999. And it's been a real pleasure to be working with a lot of these entrepreneurs and with the angel investors. We've seen the whole angel investment scene evolving. So let's just show you what's been happening. I'm just going to give you a quick few highlights. So our goal is to grow the angel investing community. Back in April 1999, we had 3 companies present to a room full of 12 angel investors. Now we regularly get over almost 100 people for every single one of our monthly sessions. We have about 150 members in our group. It's our largest angel group in BC. We've got 2,500 companies plus who presented since 1999, and more than a good chunk of them, 10%, have received investments. So how much investments? Well, we started to collect some data in a more, I guess, a more disciplined manner before we were kind of lackadaisical. And that's a reflection of our angel investment community as well. We've noticed an increased sophistication in our angel investors. So we're looking at 87 companies who've received almost $15 million last year. And we have different lines of membership. We've always counted on our full membership. You know, members are either individuals or funds. And if you're a member of an affiliated fund or another angel group, we have a special discount. So this is all about the Vantech philosophy of making, just really coordinating and cooperating and doing work with fellow angel groups. And then if you can't make it to Vancouver, well, we have an online membership too, which has all the benefits, but you just have a link afterwards. So that's it for Vantech. So I'm going to hand it back to my co-host to start introducing the companies.
All right, thank you so much, Dalzell. Let's move on and let's talk about Breeze traffic. Nobody likes sitting in traffic, but you might not also realize the environmental impact of all those idling cars. Breeze Traffic is here to look at ways of solving that. Take it away, Alexander.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander, and I'm co-founder and CEO of the company called Breeze Traffic. And the problem we're solving is traffic congestion in our cities. And we solve it by making traffic lights smart using artificial intelligence. AI that works autonomously on edge, not in the cloud, and responds to current traffic conditions and cuts CO2. It uses video streams from existing video cameras to detect all road users and make instant decisions on changing lights. Our special sauce is computer vision and machine learning technology that runs in real time at the intersection on top of any hardware. And we offer it to the cities in different ways as a subscription service that we call Intersection as a Service. And we're looking for $500,000 in seed funding to perfect this model and technology and begin scaling it up, one intersection after another, one city at a time. Thank you.
No, thank you, Alexander. I thought that was great. Next up, we have Stuart Lilly from Refeed. Here's a little company that is recovering nutrients and using those traceable nutrients to feed both people, livestock, and plants. Stuart?
Thank you, Stephen. I want you to take a moment here and picture a trailer load of produce that just arrived here from California or Mexico. Now I want you to picture that trailer going to a facility where it gets unloaded and the contents are dumped out into a pile, like you see in this picture. Hi, my name is Stuart Lilly. I'm the CEO and founder of Refeed Canada, and this has been my reality for the last 10 years. We're dealing with a food crisis here with an estimated 5.9 million tons of produce that is lost along the value chain in Canada annually. Food insecurity in Canada is at unprecedented levels, where 1 in 8 households, over 4 million Canadians, are food insecure. Agricultural land is degrading from pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, and lack of organic material. We've developed a nutrient recovery and redistribution platform that addresses all of these issues in one facility. Our solution is transparent, it's collaborative, it's innovative, and it's profitable. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to telling you more about Refeed Canada in our 3-minute pitch.
Thank you very much, Stuart. And we will move on to Jay Harmer with Crew Driver. Crew Driver is a virtual assistant that makes call stewarding quick and efficient. And you know, when you're in those food processing lines, having someone not there can reduce the productivity of a whole plant, can increase wasted food, and all those problems Jay is here to solve. Jay, tell us how.
I just want to make sure my audio is working.
It is.
Okay, good. That's always a really exciting moment before time. Food processors live in an ongoing labor shortage. It impedes plant operations and product output, and it's exaggerated by COVID-19. I'm Jay Harmer, the founder of Crew Driver, a labor coordinator in the service. 24 hours a day with no office-side intervention, we manage transactions between HR, operations, and a workforce, matching and confirming workers with shifts arising from planned and unplanned absences. For the admin, we're accessible via standalone product or an ERP integration, and we're built for the blue-collar workforce. We use text and WhatsApp to reduce technology access barriers that exist with other solutions. We dramatically cut an unrecoverable cost connected to day-to-day operations. We prevent line interruptions, and we give time and opportunity to HR for building stronger relationships with the workforce. Pre-COVID, we were active in tourism and hospitality. Our standalone is TRL9. Our focus is on market entry and building credibility through case studies. Our ask will include seeking partnerships and introductions to manufacturers who would be amenable to a pilot project. Look forward to seeing the breakout.
Thank you very much, Jay. And that brings us to that time again where you have to make a choice. Tony, would you open up the breakout room so people can decide who of those 3 companies they would like to learn more about? Refeed, Crew Driver, and Breeze Traffic. Once again, be getting a few rapid fire pitches here from some wonderful companies and learning about what they do. Kelsey, you want me to introduce this group as well? All right, I'm gonna dive in. First up, we have Planty Bioplastics. Prapula has developed a bioplastic that degrades at certain depths, so you can use it for fishing. It'll last as long as you need it to, but will not cause any waste in the oceans. Very, very cool if you like eating or just playing with fish and sport fishing applications. Prapula, why don't you tell us more?
Yeah, thanks very much, Stephen. Hello, everyone. My name is Praful. I'm co-founder and CEO of Planty Bioplastics Incorporated. And today I'm going to talk about Smart Bio, a patented plastic developed for aquaculture industry. Now, Smart Bio is a fish and water-friendly plastic. It degrades when it lasts in water and it stops when it's out of water. I guess that's why the name is smart. It's extremely smart to know where it is. And that's one of the major advantages that we have over our competitors. At the end of life, there is no microplastic, so we don't pollute the environment. And that's made out of a Smart Bio. Enables fishermen to conserve environment at no extra cost. Now, this is quite an advantageous step in our company. And our ask is $3 million over 2 years to set up a Make in Canada production facility that will enable us to pilot and market Smart Bio through a B2B platform. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next up will be Intelligent City and Oliver Lang. Intelligent City are doing turnkey prefabricated mass timber housing that's sustainable, affordable, and livable. Oliver, why don't you unpack that a little bit for us?
Thank you, Stephen. Good morning. My name is Oliver Lang. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Intelligent City, a Vancouver-based housing technology company with a mission to build smarter and to empower people to live better. We're widely recognized experts in mass timber, mid to high-rise construction. There are 3 major problems in the housing industry today: supply and affordability, increasingly complex regulations, demand of buildings to address climate change, and development has not seen innovation in over 75 years, leading to expensive one-off buildings that are poorly performing. In response, Intelligent City delivers fully integrated turnkey housing product solutions for mixed-use mass timber buildings for mid to high-rise construction using advanced software and robotics. Our buildings are delivered more efficiently with better income, designed and engineered and built faster, are 33% more cost efficient and near life cycle carbon neutral for our customers that are rental housing operators and green building developers. We're currently raising a $10 million in the Series A. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver, which will bring us to the 3rd contestant in this round, Matt Luce from Hoa Cleantech. Hoa helps organizations identify their unsustainable processes and establish decarbonization strategies. Matt, you want to tell us a little more?
Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
if I can move forward. There we go.
No
Now
worries.
I'm
Cool. Hey, I'm Matt. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Cleantech. We optimize decarbonization strategy. So we work with industries that are committed to reduce their greenhouse gas emission. Typically, their data to assess the greenhouse gas emissions are scattered across the organization and even outside across their supply chain. So it makes it very difficult for the decision maker within this organization to make sound and strategic decision to achieve goals of decarbonization. So this is where we have developed the HOA decarbonization platform to aggregate, measure, and analyze the greenhouse gas emissions across an industry and a company to help them find the optimal decarbonization scenarios. So we process large amount of unstructured data and expose which one is the most capital efficient strategy to achieve their goal in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. Our goal is to analyze 1 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions by 2025 on an annual basis for our customers.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt. So that brings us to, once again, that challenging decision you have to make as Tony will open up the breakout rooms, which of these companies you want to hear more from: HOA Cleantech, Intelligent City, or Planty Bioplastics. Tony, would you go ahead and open up those breakout rooms? Welcome back. Do we have all of the participants here? Fantastic. Thank you, Tony, for that thumbs up. We are going to move into our final round of presentations from the companies. It's been a great morning. Thank you to everyone who has stayed with us throughout. I will move directly to introducing our next speaker, Alex Wick from Cascadia Carbon. Cascadia Carbon is monetizing or enabling solutions for carbon credits in everyday life. Alex, take it away.
Thank you, Stephen. My name is Alex Wick. I'm a forester, founder, and the CEO of Cascadia Carbon. Cascadia Carbon is building Codex, a carbon offset decentralized exchange, which is democratizing the voluntary carbon offset market. With a serviceable attainable market of over $5.5 billion, this market is necessary for our survival. It's expected to 1,000x over the next 10 years as carbon removal becomes more commercialized and more involved in everyday life. We have a patent pending low carbon blockchain, an excellent team, as well as partnerships with the UBC and the Government of Canada. We're engaging the billion-plus climate activists into this voluntary market, expanding and exploding this marketplace to reach new heights. We're post-revenue with our NFT token presale available now on our website. And we're looking to grow with value-aligned capital and matching funding. Hope to see you all in our breakout room. Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, we will have Maddie from Can Dry Technology. If you're wondering, it's a drying technology and it's targeting the food industry. Maddie, would you tell us some more?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Maddie Arias, the co-founder of Can Dry Technologies. Valuable organics like herbs, medical cannabis, or even our food need dehydration process to prevent spoilage. And during the drying process with the existing dehydration technologies, about 70% of the nutrients, flavors, and pigments are destroyed due to high temperature. And in case producers decide to prevent this massive nutrient loss, they have to dry their products in drying rooms, which takes 7 to 10 days. So to fill this gap, Can Dry has developed a patented and novel dehydration technology that saves 100% of the nutrients and 90% of the drying time plus energy. We are currently in R&D stage and we are seeking for 400 grand investment to enter the market and expand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maddie. The last presenter for this morning, and in no way the least, Michael Dreger from AirSet Technology. They will be monitoring and providing insights to indoor air quality. Michael, tell us more, please.
Do you want to bring up our slide?
Oh, yeah. Let me roll that ahead.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Stephen. So I want you to think of the worst indoor air environment that you've ever been in, whether it's too hot or too cold, stuffy, stale, or gross. You'll remember it. And these qualitative descriptors used by staff and tenants to describe a quantitative mix of gases in the air, that if you understood them, you could do something about them. I'm Michael Dreger, the CEO of Airset Technologies. And we've built an analytics tool for improving indoor air quality while also acting as your company's trusted advisor for solutions. We do this by putting the right smart device in the hands of businesses. But device data is nothing without the analytics platform to give the data meaning. At Airset, we bundle the device, an analytics platform, and solutions to allow for the improvement of indoor spaces. Since we spend 90% of our time indoors, this is truly about our health, and I'd love to tell you about the return on investment that we're bringing to companies everywhere. With 30 million SMBs in the US alone, identifying and improving air quality is a huge opportunity.
Thank you, Michael. And for the last time this morning, we will have to go and make that tough decision of who you want to hear more from. Will it be Breeze Traffic, Refeed, or sorry, not Breeze. That's the first group, Cascadia Carbon, CanDry Technology, or Airset. As you can see, it's been a long day. I do want to stop here in case you sneak out trying to get that early lunch right after this group. I do want to say thank you so much to Tony Dhaliwal and Amanda Lowe for supporting on the back end, as well as Astrid and Karen and Michelle Zazaluk for arranging everyone today. I would also like to mention each of the rooms throughout the day has had a moderator. Kirk Hamilton and Jeff Reading have been here all morning, helping making sure that the company successfully present in their rooms. Beth Lofney was here for the first part, and Clay Brasler has joined us for the second. Thank you all for your help in making this a great day and supporting our ventures. With that, Tony, can you open the breakout rooms? Back, everyone. I'm really happy to see so many of you have stuck around for the tail end of the event and didn't just scoot out as the breakout rooms closed. So excited for all these companies today. I hope for all the ventures that you did get to see, there was something that you learned, somebody that you saw that you were impressed, somebody that you could possibly help in some way, support with an introduction, support with some follow-on connection to someone in your network that may be able to help them or be interested in what it is they're doing. Again, at Foresight, our goal is to be Canada's Cleantech ecosystem accelerator. And those connections and networks and bringing the different people together is so important for what we do. Thank you so much for attending today. To all of the ventures, wonderful work over the past 12 weeks. We've seen some great progress in how you articulate the story and conceive of how your business will grow and achieve the impacts that we want you to have. We want you to build big, beautiful billion-dollar businesses that drive the Canadian economy, that export your technology, that solve problems on a global scale. I want to see, and I sincerely hope as many of you do that as possible. I'd like to once again thank everybody involved on the Foresight side, from our EIRs to our staff, Tony and Amanda, who have done fantastic work today and over the past 12 weeks in helping these companies along. For those of you who are interested and enjoyed this event and want to see more of what Western Canada can do in the clean tech space, our next demo day will be on July 20th. In the meantime, we will have other events. Keep tuned to our events page. We do have a newsletter. If you have not yet signed up, you can sign up for our community of innovators, which is completely free, and will get you access to that newsletter. So we keep you posted on events just like this one, as well as other opportunities happening in the space around Canada and the globe. With that, I think Jeff is posted a reminder for all the companies. If you want, you can drop your contact details in the chat box here to make sure that anybody on the call who wants to follow up with you can do so as easily as possible. And with that, I like Kirk's new tagline. Stay positive, no, and test negative.
I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Stephen for moderating today, guiding us through the partners, panelists, and ventures. Yeah, that's it on my end. Hope everybody enjoys the sunny weather and have a great week.
Absolutely. If you do want to get in touch with any of the companies that you saw today and you have any questions about how to do that, feel free to reach out to our team. I believe, unfortunately, all of our email addresses are available online, or if not, you would have received invites to this event, which you can reply to fairly easily, and we'll make sure you get in touch with the people that you would like to. With that, and with some surprise, we're actually finishing a little bit early today.
Thanks, Stephen. Great job. Jeanette better be looking after you. There's going to be some media company out there hiring you as a DJ. I don't know. You might be on CBC News next to Ronaldo pretty soon.
Well, I don't know. I think Zach Storms and I are going to start a little radio. Morning Drive. That's what we're going to be trying to put together.
That is good competition.
Yeah, you did a great job, Stephen. Well, the whole team. So it's really good. There's hardly any work for me, which is wonderful.
Well, we're really happy to have you as a partner, and we're happy to, grow our partnerships and collaborations with Startup TNT and Innovation Saskatchewan and North Forge. And it really does take a big community. We can't do this all ourselves, and we're so happy to have you involved in these demo days.
Yeah, great job. And I just messaged with Amanda if, am I on mute? No.
Nope.
That if you can share the summary of the companies, we'll be happy to share that with our investors as a post-event reference booklet. UBC used to do that, and I think it's super helpful for people to take a glance at.
Absolutely. We will send it over to you. With that, everyone, I will sign off and let you all check those emails that have probably been slowly piling up.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.